Hi and welcome to another video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Monique. I am a certified breathwork facilitator and a budding intuitive energy healer. You can find out more about my work at asanacoaching.com. So today's video is part 2 of my exploration about Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. In the first video, I basically talked about the recent video that Dr. Joe Dispenza put out called Source, It's Within You. And the reason why I enjoy his work so much is because it has absolutely transformed my life. And what is cool about his work is that he demonstrates through scientific methods what happens to the human body through these various meditation techniques that he teaches. So let's dive into my healing experience. So I think back in the 2000s, many years ago, I started to have some pretty severe cramps. I would be walking and it's as if someone would have punched my gut. So I had a hard time walking. I had to take a few breaths. I was kind of bent over in pain. It would last, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, and then it would go away. So that happened maybe a couple of times a year. And then over the years, the frequency of the cramps increased, and also I started to have pretty bad constipation. And so I've been plant-based for decades, and it was quite surprising that I was having so many digestive issues because my fiber intake was so high. But I kept sort of ignoring it, and I think in the last 5 years it just got worse and worse. And it was to the point where the cramps were on a weekly basis. I was having not only constipation, but anal fissures, bleeding, the whole works. I mean, it was pretty bad, and it was a bit silly that I ignored it for such a long time. But whatever, I mean, it is what it is. So I finally went to the GP, and I said, I described what I was experiencing and what my diet and lifestyle was like, plant-based, exercising a lot, pretty good stress management. I was meditating, and I explained the situation, and she said, okay, everything you're talking about seems a bit unusual. Let me check you out. And so she checked everything to see whether there was any hemorrhoids. There was nothing. She said, look, I'm going to send you to a specialist because this sounds a bit unusual to me. So a few weeks later, I went to a specialist, gastrointestinal specialist. She checked me out. She says it sounds really suspicious to me, so I would highly recommend you doing a colonoscopy. And normal people would be like, yeah, okay, let's check it out. But for some reason, I had this notion in my head, it's like, no, I'm gonna heal this myself. And at that point, I had no idea why I said that or how I would do that, but I really had a strong intuition that I would somehow heal it myself. Fast forward about a year or two later, I was listening to a podcast episode with Dr. Joe. And at that point, I had read some of his books. I understood his work intellectually. Look, it sounded great, sounded interesting, but never actually sat down on the cushion and did the actual meditations. Because remember, at this point, I was a meditator for a long time with the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, right? So I thought, what did this guy know about meditation, right? Compared to 2,000 plus year old practice. Something in that podcast kind of just lit me up. I was like, okay, I need to actually do this and at least try. Like I'm a scientist. I'm willing to experiment, like put aside my skepticism and just be open-minded about this and just try. You have nothing to lose. I did this practice called Blessings of the Energy Centers, and it sounded interesting. It was about 45 minutes, which is something I could handle. And it's a guided meditation that goes from all of your chakra points and basically blesses them with energy, And I thought, well, you know what, I'm just gonna give this a solid try. I'm gonna do it every morning for, you know, as long as it takes, as long as it, you know, I feel fired up. So I sat there. It was 2001 at that point. I was really determined. I was, you know, meditating every single morning with this technique. And I would say about 3 weeks later from when I started, when, you know, I was kind of lit on fire, you know, I was going through all the chakra points as per usual, and then something just ripped. I just had these huge waves of energy flowing through my body. And after I got to the crown chakra, it just was like a wave that was hitting my brain, and the only feeling that I can describe is it felt like I was drunk or high, but I was not, I can assure you. But it was just, you know, it's just these waves of energy hitting my head. It's kind of like being pounded by waves in the ocean. It was amazing. I was completely blissed out. I remember it was a Monday morning, and I had a meeting with my colleague. I was like, oh man, I'm really sorry if I look really spaced out. I just had the wildest meditation this morning. Yeah, I was hardly functioning, you know. I was in such a bliss cloud that, yeah, I don't know how I made it through Monday, but there you go. But luckily it did calm down after 24 hours. The waves just got a little bit gentler and gentler over time, and then, you know, 24 hours later it pretty much resolved back to normal. And then 48 hours after that, I went to the bathroom as per normal, as you do in the morning, you know, just feeling again that anxiety that would come up from having such pain to go to the toilet every morning. And something came out that I've never quite seen before. I can only describe it as, it's almost like these cherries were hanging out, you know, like these balls with stems on it, and they look like dried up, yeah, I would say like dried up cherries or something with like taffy-like tails. So I actually had to take tissue and pull it out because it wasn't coming out, it was just hanging. So, you know, I quickly pulled out whatever the heck that was, and I thought, what the hell did I just eat last night? Never even thinking that it might have been from the meditation or anything like that. So I just, you know, shoved it in the toilet, flush, 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 ignore, ignore. And then I started to notice, like, as the days were progressing, my digestion just got better and better. And I was like, what is going on? What was I eating? Was I doing something differently? But then I kind of remembered, whoa, you know, on Wednesday, I had that, whatever the heck, it was hanging out there. And I thought, what if my body was in such a high frequency that it got rid of something that was in my intestines that was causing me so much trouble for literally decades? And since that time, August 2021, I have had perfect digestion, perfect clockwork, smooth sailing. And so that was incredible. And I also went to my first week-long retreat with Dr. Joe in London in 2022. Because at that point, you can imagine, I was just so stoked about his work. Then I started seeing other people's testimonials and all the things they were healing, which were incredible. I mean, mine was nothing compared to the issues that people were resolving in their own bodies. And it was magical, like 1,500 people, and you know, made some beautiful friends, and also had, you know, a pretty intense energetic experience where during the healing session, so we At one point, everyone is divided into 8 groups, and we have a person that we heal in front of us. And I had such a jolt of energy going through my body that I disappeared, the room disappeared, the whole world disappeared, and everything became energy. I was just this pure consciousness floating in this vibrational energy field. And I was like, what the hell is going on? It was incredible. It was incredible. And so, yeah, I cannot recommend Dr. Joe's work enough. There was a young man there at the retreat. He came in with muscular dystrophy. I think he came all the way from India. And he was healed. He was walking. I mean, I'll post the video of him. I witnessed this young man, courageous man, just healing himself of a debilitating disease that he saw no hope to cure. But that's just one of many, many, many testimonials, like literally thousands and thousands of testimonials that you can watch on YouTube. It's incredible. And so it left me with this profound knowing that we are incredibly powerful. And I just want to share that with you, that knowing, and hopefully inspiring that confidence within you that you can do a lot more than you think. And yeah, I would highly encourage you to check out Dr. Joe's work and see whether it resonates with you or not. But I hope it does, because it could possibly just literally change your life. So thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope this resonated, and I hope it inspired, and we'll see you in the next one. Namaste.